guys, I'm going to show you some resources that I posted on Canvas to help you guys with MLA formatting. You guys have just received on Friday your newest essay assignment for your argumentative essay, and it should be formatted in MLA format. Pretty much everything that you send me as far as essays go should be in MLA format. But I've given you a lot of resources to help you with this because it can be tricky to, sorry for that bell. It can be tricky to sort of memorize what these rules are. But this is definitely something that is worth knowing for this year and for next year. Your assignments, your essay assignments should be in MLA format. And depending on what field you go into, in college, you might also have to use MLA format. You may wind up having to use APA format would be the other option. There's also one called Chicago, but I don't really know who uses Chicago, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here and take you to Canvas to show you these few things that I have provided for you. So the first thing, which is really, really helpful, is Purdue University has their online writing lab. That's what OWL stands for. And it's got literally everything you could hope for as far as resources to help you. So this is what the link opens to. Again, sorry. And I mean, you can see they also have one for APA, but we're not going to worry about that. MLA stuff, formatting and style guide is what we're going to look at here. And I'm just going to run you through a couple of these things so that you can kind of have some idea of how to navigate this website. So first of all, it gives you this little thing to kind of help you here. So if you are citing a website, let's see. For example, this is one that I was looking at with a different class the other day. So let's go ahead and put this in and see if it does a good job. So open citationmachine.net, which is okay, but you should always make sure that you sort of know how to do this. So for example, this is not a very good citation, which is why you want to learn these rules on your own so that you can do it yourself. Okay, so some general guidelines here. Double space the text, use a legible font like Times New Roman or Arial. Font size 12 point. If it's 11 point, nobody's going to lose their minds about it. Leave only one space after periods or other punctuation marks. That's pretty normal and common these days. It used to be when people were taught typing, they would have two spaces after the period at the end of every sentence. That was changed, I think, even by the time I was in high school. I don't really remember having to learn to do two spaces, but we only do one. 1 inch margins, which is the default anyway on Google Docs. Indent the first line of each paragraph. You can just do a tab and that'll work. A lot of people want to kind of not indent their paragraphs, but that's really difficult because then we don't know where you're intending to start a new idea. Create a header that numbers all pages consecutively. In the upper right-hand corner, and I'll show you this, use italics throughout your essay to indicate the titles of longer works like books, and only when absolutely necessary to provide emphasis. Nothing should be bolded unless you're citing something that it was bolded in the quote. Your title doesn't need to be bolded. Your title doesn't need to be in quotation marks. And that's where we get to the title page. I'm not going through every single thing with you guys, but this is some like basic formatting stuff. You don't have to make a title page unless it's specifically requested. In the upper left-hand corner of the first page, list your name, your instructor's name, my name, the course, AP Language and Composition, and the date. You'll still use double-spaced text. You're gonna center the title. And if you notice, here's like a sample of the first page. There's not a there's not like an extra space between the title and all this upper left-hand corner stuff. There's not an extra space in between the title and the first paragraph. There's not an extra space between any paragraphs. That's a thing that I've noticed that some students like to do, but for MLA format, you don't need those extra spaces. Maybe it's because you can see like it says double space, but it just means like the whole thing's double spaced. Just go ahead and format your paper, go into page setup, and just do it all double spaced. So I'll actually show you guys in a couple minutes another good example. But let's take a look at all these things that you have here. This is all very, very useful stuff. And this is like for your works cited entry. I'm going to go through this with you in just a couple of minutes in more detail. If you're doing an in-text citation, this kind of shows you how you should be doing that. In parentheses, after you, like if you have already included the author's name in your sentence, like in this first example, Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. You just have to put the page number in the parentheses. If you haven't included the author's name, you will put the last name and the page number. Also notice here, the period is outside of the parentheses. So formatting quotations, it's got this, again, I'm not going to go through this in extensive detail with you because I'm giving you the link to this that you can go through it on your own time. This is just kind of further explaining how you should quote things inside the text. And then if you have a long quotation, which I would say probably avoid these longer quotations just because you don't want to weigh down your essay with quotes or rely on quotes to make your argument for you. But if you were going to do that, then this is how you would format it. Like this would be the introduction. Nellie Dean treats Heathcliff poorly and dehumanizes him throughout her narration. And here is an example of that narration. It's all going to be set off with an indent. The whole thing is an indent. It doesn't have quotation marks around it. You finish the sentence and then you put your citation in parentheses. So a little bit different, which is also one reason that I say kind of avoid these long quotations. You just have to learn another rule. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Basic rules for works cited. It should be on a separate page at the end of your research paper. Some people like to just start like linking things at the end of their paper, and that's not how it's done. There is specific formatting for a works cited page. But some stuff I wanted to show you is that this basically has, like, no matter what kind of source you're using, this has got the instructions for citing that thing. So a book here, hang on one second. Okay, sorry, I had a visitor at my door. Okay. Where were we? Yeah, this is going to show you basically any kind of source you want to quote, which you can cite any kind of source. Like you can cite an episode of a television show. You can cite a poem that comes in an anthology. You can cite an interview that you conduct. You can cite anything, and there are rules for how to do it. And this is, I'll kind of go back over this. In fact, I keep the other thing as a screenshot. Oop, that was ugly. That's what we're going to do. See, it'll show you basic book format, book with one author, book with more than one author, 2 or more books by the same author, if you're using multiple works by the same person. All of these different kinds of books. Periodicals, which I don't really think you'll probably use, but electronic sources. And it gives you some info here about best practices, meaning like making sure that you have a reputable source, making sure that you're giving all the information you need to. So again, basic style for citations. This would be a good resource to keep track of. Or this. Yeah, I'm just finding things as I go. Okay. I might actually change something on Canvas. Anyway, you can kind of scroll through here. Once you've found your sources, you can kind of match them up with what you're using. An image, a painting, sculpture, a photograph. Very cool. So basically, it's got, no matter what source you want to use, it's got instructions for how to do that. Anything else that I want to show you guys? Abbreviations. Like this is just kind of stuff to keep in mind, like when you come to it. These are not like super important rules, but if you come up across something and you're like, oh, I don't know how I should how I should format that, then this is where you go to. It's got a sample works cited page. I'm also going to show you a different works cited page, but that's the first resource that I gave you guys, and I would say it's the most useful one because it's consistently updated. It's got, like, if there are any changes made to MLA format, which occasionally there is, I think we're on MLA 7th edition at this point, this website would automatically fix that information. Okay, so the MLA format order, and I might add some stuff to this if I can, is this screenshot, which is basically no matter what kind of resource you're going to use, it's going to be the same information. If you don't have all of this information, that's okay. Not every resource you use is going to have all this information, but typically you're going to have your author, the title of the source, and then the title of the container, which container would be like if you are quoting a poem in an anthology, the poem's title would come first and then the anthology's title. If you're quoting an episode of a television show, the title of the episode would be the title of your source. The title of the show would be the title of your container. If you quoted something out of our textbook, which like most of you guys haven't even laid eyes on our textbook, but like, what was the last thing? The Family Who Stretches Together, that would be the title of the source. The title of our textbook would be the title of the container. Other contributors would be like an editor, if you are quoting a textbook or something. If you're using like an online journal you found off a database, you'd have the version and the number. Like a lot of things will say like volume 4 number 11 or something like that. The name of the publisher, the date of the publication, and the location. If you're using a normal book, all of that stuff is going to be found, like a novel, all that stuff can be found like on the copyright page. And if you take a look at this, the punctuation is a little bit different, but that's the punctuation you need. So like a period after the author's name, a period after the title, a comma after the title of the container, if there is one, so on and so forth. Like I said, I might add some more stuff to that just because I just took those screenshots that I think could be really useful. That's not it. That's something else. Like this. Handy dandy. So this is an example paper, and I wrote it myself in college, so I'm not giving you anybody else's, any other student's work. We're not violating any FERPA, anything. The one thing I will show you that is not correct, and I don't know if it wasn't correct at the time or if this is a thing that has changed since then, like from a new MLA edition, but these days what I should do instead is, rather than underline this, italicize it. But I wanted to give you guys this as an example because everything except for what I just showed you is formatted correctly as far as MLA format goes. And that doesn't mean it's a perfect paper. It's not. I read back through it, and like obviously it's been 12 years since I read it, but or since I wrote it. But there's definitely some things that I would go back and fix now. But MLA format's not one of them. The MLA format is good. So you can see here, you can kind of use this as a model. Like once you've written your paper, hold it up against this and see like, have I formatted everything correctly? Do I have my name, my instructor's name, my course name, and the date here? Do I have the title centered and not bolded, not in quotation marks, not italicized? Do I have page numbers? I'll show you guys how to do page numbers in just 1 second. Is everything evenly spaced? Is it all double spaced? Is it in the correct font? I'll go ahead and tell you one of the reasons I chose this as an example is because it can't help you with your with like your content at all. This is not anything, this is a book y'all have never read probably. It's using a literary criticism technique that y'all have probably never heard of called deconstructivism. And it's very long and boring. So, but you'll also notice, sorry, I'm going right back up here to find where I quoted something. I've got quotes here. I didn't have to include the last name here. I could have just put the page number and that would have been fine because I already included the author's name when I introduced the quote. Long paper, very long. But here's my works cited. Another thing to note is that all of the authors are in alphabetical order, and that's how it should be. Works cited, you do this hanging indent, which is like every line except for the first line of a new entry is indented. If you have a difficult time formatting this, please let me know and I will help you out with that. But everything is formatted correctly here. So that's all for MLA stuff. The only other thing I was going to show you guys is I'm sure you've used IXL in previous courses, but we definitely have some skills that we need to work on in this class. So tomorrow we're going to do some work on IXL. And in case you're unable to get into it, I've also included your IXL usernames and passwords. I'm not worried about giving out passwords to your classmates because who on earth would go onto someone's IXL and do some English work for them? That would be weird. So we're going to use these tomorrow, but I just wanted to show you guys what everything is that I'm posting. And again, I might go into this one and add some more screenshots if I can. But I just wanted to kind of run you guys through what all of these things are and how to use them, because as you're writing your essay, you'll want to kind of use these resources. Make sure that you're formatting things in order. Make sure that you hold your paper up against this one and see, like, is it all matching? Is all the format matching? So that is it. I will be talking to you guys tomorrow when we do some IXL work. Bye.